guys, so today, as requested, we are taking a look at the external kit that I run on my gun. Now this is a gun you have seen on the channel now for over a year or so. Originally it was in a different form. I had a Mark IV Geisley rail, a much longer rail, and that's now been shortened down to a Mark 18 rail, and of course I've shortened down the internal and external barrel, which means I can use it a little bit easier in CQB and I can run a suppressor or a tracer unit if I wish. Now I have done a full video in the past discussing the internals of this gun, which I will leave linked in the description below, but today we're mainly talking about the externals, the sights, suppressors, torches, lasers, grips, because I still get a lot of comments and questions on the videos asking, Matt, what's that, what's this? So today we're going to cover all of the externals that I've run. So the setup you're seeing here is normally how I run it at a nighttime game. I've got the Element LA5 PEQ. This does have an infrared laser, which is actually pretty powerful for just a replica PEQ, which of course you can see through your night vision, which is very helpful, because with night vision, trying to aim down the sight of a weapon when you have that night vision on is pretty much impossible. So you normally tend to fire from the hip and use that laser, that infrared laser, to try and guide those shots in. So having that when you're playing a milsim or an event with night vision not only looks cool, but it actually is very, very helpful. So I run that at the front of the gun there, of course, meaning that my hand is never going to block the laser at the front. And you can operate that with a click button on the top, or you can use a separate pressure plate, which you can just click onto your wrist system, and you can operate that as well. Now on the side, I still have the Surefire M600C replica torch, which I operate using my thumb on this side, just as I would in any standard game. And then at the front here, I've actually got the Moment, my Knight's Armament suppressor, but this can easily be switched out for my G&G tracer suppressor, which of course allows you to have tracer shots when you're doing those nighttime games. Now, at the moment, on this setup, I do have the XP EOTech replica on there, which I am actually going to be running this on my 416 more when I get it back from having the upgrades done. Just trying to stand up, there we go. But I do run different sights, as you've probably seen it from my video, so this comes off nice and easily, quick detach. So I'm not the biggest fan of XP or EOTech style sights, but I thought I'd give one a go, especially for the 416, but I would usually run a T1. Now, I get a lot of questions from you guys asking which brand are my T1s. This is a new one that I've got in tan for my 416, and I have a black one, which I have on my Mark 18 on this gun most of the time, and it's just from Battlestore. Most of this kit, in fact all of it, can be bought from battlestore.co.uk. I will leave links to all of this in the description below. So my T1 is it was about £40, it's just a replica, but it's lasted me about 4 years and I've had no issues with it. It holds its zero, the battery lasts quite a long time if you remember to turn it off. The amount of times I open my gun box a week later and the sight's still on is kind of frustrating, but the battery does last a long time, and because it's such a small kind of window, if you put a little protector on it, it hardly ever gets hit. I've had a kind of clear protector on there for probably 8 months now without replacing it at all. So they are very nice sights. They've got a very small picture, which sometimes puts people off, but you can zero them very well and they are pretty accurate. Now a lot of people say, do you not need a high quality one, especially with a recoil or a gas blowback gun, because it can knock the zero off. That is true of using real guns, but for airsoft, I don't think any airsoft gun, be HPA, recoils, gas blowback, has quite enough power to really truly knock a T1 at least. Now, in terms of the EOTechs, that's a slightly different story. The holographic image on these ghosts quite a lot, I find. So as you're moving your head around, the actual reticle moves a bit, which of course makes it highly inaccurate at times. I found the T1 with that simple dot, if you're moving your head about, it still stays pretty level. So the T1s I find are far more accurate, for replicas at least, than the EOTechs. But of course, they are still pretty good, and if you are trying to build a certain style, maybe a CAG build with a 416, this is a little bit more true than your T1. So now for my daytime setup, this is probably one you're more likely to recognise, as this is a setup I run when I'm recording. The main difference being I'm no longer running the functional PEQ box with the IR laser and torch, but I'm running my camera unit. Now, up till recently I was running the Brain Exploder dual Mobius camera unit, but now I'm actually running the PEQ 16 that also has 2 cameras with a front-facing scope camera and a selfie camera, all built in to a more compact and more realistic looking unit. So as you can see, this is a PEQ 15 and this is a 16. It's slightly bigger, allowing us to fit in the dual cameras and all the wiring that's needed. So I get a lot of questions about this, so I'm going to take it apart and show you guys. This was made by Callsign Brawler. Again, his links will be in the description below. So you have the rear camera, as you can see here. Take this off, and inside we simply have two Mobius cameras cut down to fit in with some kind of glue around the outside to hold them in place and stop them from rattling, and the scope camera is actually mounted inside where the torch would be. So it looks a little bit more realistic and a little bit more compact, and I think especially with the 416 in tan it will suit the gun a lot more than the black D-Bal style cameras that I used to run previously. Now, as well as that, I am running the Surefire replica, but this time this is the M952. Now I get a lot of questions again, people asking me recently, do I somehow have this linked to my trigger because as I'm firing it's going into strobe? Now, being a replica, this doesn't have the IR. The real version of this, the real Surefire torch, which can be sometimes upwards of £300, actually has white light and IR. The IR function on this is just strobe. So as you press down the pressure plate, there's no battery in it at the moment, but I keep it here next to my thumb. If the sight does allow strobing, I simply set it to strobe mode. I'll look myself on this. Set it to strobe mode. As I'm firing, I'm simply just pressing down as I'm firing, which allows you as the viewer to see the BBs flying through the torchlight. It also dazzles the enemy a bit. Sometimes it makes them put their head back in, allowing you to get the advantage. But it also looks quite cool, looks like a muzzle flash, especially if you're playing in the dark. So no, there's no kind of trickery with the trigger response or anything like that. It is simply, as I shoot, I've kind of almost just got instinctively used to just pressing the torch as I shoot. And because it's got strobe mode, it allows me to do that. Sights that don't allow strobe mode, you can set it to white light, and you can still press it pretty quickly. It's got quite a reactive pressure plate, but that is all. There's no magic trickery with the trigger. Now, as well as that, I also run my Knights Armament suppressor, which is sheerly on there for looks. It is the Mark 18 style suppressor, so it goes with the rest of the gun. This is quick release. I can just let up the latch, take it off if you want to play in really small CQB. Now, some of the items on the gun that don't change, be it nighttime or daytime, one of them is my sling. This is the DevGru 2-point semi-post sling. Had a lot of questions about this. Very comfortable, I've run it for quite a while now. Very easy to adjust, you just simply lift this and you can pull it tighter or shorter to make it longer, so you can shoot with your offhand, take it on and off. I've run it for a lot of hours at Milsim events and it's very, very comfortable. Again, all the links to this stuff will be in the description below. Now, my foregrip is the PTS RVG. This is quite a nice foregrip. I hardly ever actually hold it as you'd expect. I use it mainly as a point of reference. I can quickly get my hand onto it, allow me to pull the weapon into my shoulder and manage it very easily. And by having that point of reference, as I bring my hand up, I know my thumb's going to be the right place for my torch or my laser or any other items I'm running on the front of the gun. So these are very, very popular, and for a reason. They're very comfy, very simple, very lightweight. And again, links to these will be in the description below. So that about wraps up all the stuff I run on my gun, be it daytime, nighttime, recording, not recording. If you have any further questions, I will leave a link to mattthemusketeer.com. I do have a breakdown and links and lists of more of this stuff if you missed any of it throughout the video. As I said, links to the items will be in the description. But in the meantime, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.